welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me today is Vasyl Shevchenko, former Transportation Minister of Ukraine. Vasyl, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, despite of the Ukraine-Russia war, I am surprised that even the United States of America is asking your expertise in the Iranian drones, how to defend yourself and so forth. And not only United States, but apparently the Middle East also is seeking your expertise, the Ukraine's expertise when it comes to Iranian drones. You have a war to fight, but you still get this kind of admiration by the world. What does that really say for Ukraine and its army?
First of all, I'd like to say that Ukraine, during this 4 years, has received a lot of experience, first of all, and have tested many type of different weapons. First of all, you know that when Russia was suspended by military forces along borders and a lot battle line, they decided to use the instrument of terrorists. They started shelling civilians. As usual, it's instruments of terrorists, and because of it, they decided to look for instruments for long-range shelling, and these instruments must be cheap. And they find Iranian drones and copy it, and now they are producing up to 500 drones per day. Because of it, the situation is extremely dangerous for Ukraine, and because of it, Ukraine have to look for the instruments to intercept it. And we were testing different instruments. First of all, instruments which were expensive, because you know that price for this drone is within 100 $1,000 United States dollars. And when we saw different countries, Arab Peninsula, where intercepted drone, we were surprised because they were using most expensive missiles for Patriot system, PAC-3, which price is within $3,000+ United States dollars for one missiles. And to intercept one drone, they were using 2 or 3 missiles. It means that it's extremely expensive, and it's following terrorist organization when your air defense system is being exhausted, because they are launching big number cheap drones, quite dangerous drones, and you have to intercept, but you have extremely expensive weapon, and in a couple of days you will run out of all these missiles, and you will not have instruments to intercept. And it's a new type of waging war which was performed by terrorist state Iran and their partners Russia Federation and North Korea. And because of it, Ukraine started from the very beginning looking for different instruments to intercept these drones and to intercept cruise missiles and ballistic missiles. For example, most dangerous for Ukraine is ballistic missiles, and the Ukraine's air forces are using only Patriot system to intercept ballistic missiles, using one missile for one ballistic missiles. Just to save up money and to save up instruments for long-term war. And Ukraine performed drones which has instruments to intercept. And now, when today overnight we were shelled more than 500 different type of instruments, including drones, long-range drones type Shahed, and ballistic and cruise missiles, and most of these combat elements have been intercepted successfully.
Yeah, one question I want to ask, because since this war had broken out between Israel, United States, and Iran, apparently a lot of the places where they would have built drones are destroyed. Do you see any significant change in the Ukraine-Russia war at this point because of a lack of drones sold to Russia to invade your country with? Or is it the same pattern as it stands? Are there any changes?
Confirming that the moment which is confirming partnership between Russia and Iran was a part of drone, which was from the very beginning was copied by Russia Federation, and then it was scaled, and this drone was launched and hit residential house in United Arab Emirates, if I'm not mistaken, or United Arab Emirates. And there was his Russia's name, Hiran. And it means that they are in cooperation, and their tactics is being discussed together, and they are using. And it means that war in Ukraine has teach them how to fight without limits, without international order, without human rights, without any type of influence for these countries. And they are focusing on war for attrition. They are using cheap and effective instruments, and they are fighting not with army, but they are fighting with country in the whole, just to turning country in, just to ruin country in the whole. To destroy country's economy, to destroy infrastructure, to destroy transport, to hit train, and etc. And all these instruments have become actual for current events and for current type of waging war. And because of it, Ukraine has launched producing different type of drones which allows to intercept. For example, Ukraine has different type of drones which are producing from spare parts, mostly produced in Ukraine, and we are intercepting it. Part of this drone we are intercepting using hardware to suppress their command centers, and using drones to intercept them, to shut it down. And it works. And you know that these drones were tested by Great Britain, and their effectiveness was confirmed in Great Britain as a result of testing. And it means that we have cheap instruments, and we can graduate how to intercept it. Because, for example, we have fighter jet, but we don't have missiles which would allow us to intercept drone, for example, ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles, it's one type, and the cruise missiles. And cruise missiles, very often our pilots have to shoot from machine gun from their fighter jet because of lack missiles. And we are still working at it. And you know that Ukraine can be creative in this war because we have no instruments, and in this reason we are producing different type of drones which are working, which are ground drones, which are working, which are transporting different type of mine, which are mining, which is evacuating wounded soldiers, etc. And all these instruments help us to deter Russia's troops, because you know that at the battlefield against every Ukrainian soldiers are storming 7 Russian soldiers.
Okay. One question I want to ask here, was there some form of intensifying bombing in Kharkiv? Because results have shown that 7 were killed recently in Kharkiv in the result of intensity of bombing and so forth.
They are using different type of instruments to attack Ukraine. For example, overnight they were attacking Ukraine ballistic missiles, mostly ballistic missiles, because they want to prevent opportunity Kyiv's and Ukraine's capital to have electricity. But now we are working at the relocating this producing electricity, and Spring helps us. And bordering regions are under shell different instruments, including cheap instruments, cheap bombs. For example, they take old bombs and then equip them equipment, guiding equipment, and launching from a fighter jet from long distance, from the distance, for example, at 100 kilometers, and it's flying, and it is not precision instruments. It's instruments is not dangerous for military forces, because it has no high precision instruments, but it's enough to hit big city, and they are hitting city, and they are every day they are hitting the Ukrainians bordering cities, Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, Dnipro. For example, we saw that they are trying to hit Mykolaiv, which located at the distance 30 or 40 kilometers. And then they are using technology which is from private sector, when they are using so-called mesh Wi-Fi zones, when they are launching routers which are broadcasting and spreading Wi-Fi field, and it allows them to attack, to use FPV drones, first-person view drones, which has operators. But before it was drones which could attack only at the battlefield, being run through radio channels or optofibers. And now we can see that they are testing new technology, because they are testing all instruments from civilian sector just to inflict Ukraine's harm. And they are using different instruments from different sphere. And before they were using Starlink, for example, but after negotiations with company and personally with Elon Musk, it managed to prevent, and Russia's communication collapsed for a short time, and it allowed Ukraine forces to take back big part of territory they captured during the last year. And now they are testing different instruments and hunting for railway stations, for railway infrastructure, electricity system, etc. Because they are focusing on prevent opportunity to work railway company, because railway company is providing fast moving Ukraine's military forces, because it works correctly, and in this case railway works effectively using different type of locomotives, mostly mixing locomotive, electrical type, and interior combustion engines locomotives, and it allows to transport for example, Ukraine's military brigade can be transported for the distance from 4 to 600 kilometers during 18 hours, and it works effectively.
Is there any truth that United States wants to cut off intelligence to Ukraine?
We will look for the instruments, because this intelligent information from United States help us to understand Russia's action. And allows us, for example, to focus Ukraine's opportunity to prevent Russia's military logistic. Now Ukraine forces are able to work at the distance up to 50 kilometers, because Ukraine has a new type of drones which are able to attack logistical vehicle logistic system at the depths 50 kilometers, and as far as I know, we have own opportunities to work. It cannot be compared with United States services, which are based on the information from satellite, from different type of reconnaissance aircraft, but nevertheless we have no choice. We cannot stop fighting, because we will disappear and all Ukrainians will be killed, and we cannot stop being distracted for misleading negotiations, because we know that Russia is interested in taking full control above Ukraine, and maybe they have instruments to communicate with different countries to prevent it, because you know that we during the last year, Ukraine has a lot of money for weapon from European partners, and now they are working with the partners, encouraging some countries to make problems for Ukraine's funding for different projects, etc. But now you can see that countries which are ready to fight have to know that they have to be together, and now when we are together with our partners, we think that our partners, United States is our partners, despite of different currency in top politics, but nevertheless we know that United States citizens is on Ukrainian side, and we trust them, and we are ready to cooperate, and we are ready to support, and we are ready to cooperate with our European partners, but we can see that Russia is intensifying their attempt to prevent it. But nevertheless, we have to do it, and we will, and Ukraine forces will be ready, and authorities will be ready to share our experience to help our partners.
Absolutely. One of the things I'm wondering now, recently, the United States had been caught up in fighting not only the Iran war, but they have just do the short, brief attack on Venezuela, and they're looking at other countries that they want to go into to do their own thing when it comes to war. With all of that being said, and how much more would you think United States may go on supporting Ukraine with artillery and so forth when they may need it for them own selves? Do you think that the European allies put in strategic plans in place that should United States say enough is enough, we can't sell you any more artillery because we need it for our own selves, that Ukraine will be able to go on and fight this war comfortably without having America's support? Because we have to look at America's support. It can be there for a while, or they can cut short for some excuse based on this present administration. We don't know. But I think the Ukraine has to prepare themselves in a form to expect anything in terms of support, or even selling military equipment to Ukraine, and European allies should be then in a position to facilitate what is necessary, needed to continue to fight this war successfully.
I'd say that Ukraine's military industry is developing fast. And first of all, concerning artillery, Ukraine is producing up to 500 artillery points a month. It's good artillery, which has different advantages at the battlefield, because it's new generation artillery. Before we were using Western examples, but it was a previous generation of artillery, and very often barrels artilleries are using fast, and you have to replace new one. And now we can do it. And as far as I know, Ukraine's official decision is based on opening Ukrainian market, and Ukraine can produce any number of artillery for international market for our partners, and the Ukraine market are opening. The same situation is being in the sphere of producing drones, because the opportunity to scale different type of missiles, for example, when we have started producing own cruise missiles, its cruise missiles has distance biggest distance from ballistic missiles. It's simple example, but it's cheap, and we can produce big numbers of these missiles. And the same situation with our partners. For example, from the very beginning, we were looking for the charges for artillery, and we lack it, because for 20 Russia's shell, we had only one to answer. And now we have similar situation, artillery charges, and are able to resist it effectively. But now the role of artillery is changing, because artillery was effective at the different distance, and only artillery, it is not enough, because all this type of instruments must be tested, and only after that you must understand what type of instrument you can use to protect civilians, to protect battle line, to repel enemy storms, and to give Ukrainian soldiers the instruments to repel when they are launching big number of soldiers, and all this technology can be used by our partners, and because of it, Ukraine's authorities addressed to our partners that we are ready sharing, scaling our experience, and count for support, because the only instruments we are unable to produce its missiles, which would allow us to intercept ballistic missiles. And using this advantages, Russia Federation is shelling capital of Ukraine. And now we have enough, but we are afraid that the producer, United States producers, unable to produce a big number of missiles. For example, the number of missiles they are producing during a year can be used during a couple of days if NATO bloc country, United States and partners will use this type of missiles against simple drones. And because of it, we addressed that it mistake, and we addressed to our partners, to United States, it's better to consult with Ukraine. And now we have opportunity to give this good advices.
Absolutely. We wouldn't be able to touch on this topic now, but the next time we come back here, I want to look at the Putin stockpile. Based on the statistics you would have sent to me, he had lost a lot over the past 4 years in terms of military equipment and so forth, from airplanes to submarines to warships, etc. His arsenal has to be very low at this point. That's why he needs outside support. What decisions then would he relate to or go to when he recognized the facilitation and assistance of Iran is not there? What little North Korea may be selling him may not work. What changes we could look to experience in the year to come? We have reached the last minute of the program. Vasil, the time runs by pretty quickly. So until then, which we would come back on this topic in the next show. Enjoy your day. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Okay,
safe. All right. And for all those who have been tuning in on 21st Century, enjoy your day.